All right. Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. Nick Marro DFS here with DFS Jayhawk. We got you and Nick at night stream for this game two of the NBA Finals. As always, here with Occupy Fantasy to help you break down the main slate on both DraftKings and FanDuel. A little bit different this time. I know you guys are very familiar with us from the regular season. But yeah, only one game, obviously, with it being the NBA Finals. Yeah, we're going to kind of go loose with it. So if you guys have specific questions you want answered, let us know. We're going to kind of break down what we thought about game one, what to expect in game two, any changes we see in the starting lineup, anything like that, any sort of nuanced stats. I think there's a few hot takes, at least I have. But yeah, Jayhawk, great to see you, man. It's been a little while. And we got a bunch of guys in here already. Love to see it. But yeah, how's your off season been, and how you feeling today coming into this finals game too?
Yeah, man. Great to see you per usual as well. Classic Nick at Night stream here, postseason edition. But yeah, so been a great NBA playoff so far, and obviously coming off that crazy Halley play at the end there. Very very excited for tonight's game. But yeah, excited to get into this game per usual. So let's get it.
Yeah, they added his nickname, The Moment, into his NBA reference page.
Yeah,
I don't know if they added Halaban yet, but there's been some good ones flying around. But let's shout out the chat here, guys. A lot of the regular season guys in here. Love to see. We got Heath, Anthony D. Appreciate you. Paul saying LFGGG. I'm right there with you, man. Don, another guy we know from the regular season. Long time no see, indeed. Yeah, for those who don't know, I'm doing the MLB plugs with Chris and Smitty, but that's more behind the paywall. So, go ahead and hop in there. But yeah, we got Amari here. Jose, love to hear it. We got a lot of the regulars in here. Eli as well. Halliburton and Siakam's ownership at captain on DK. This may be where we start, Eli. So I like that question. I'm probably going to highlight that in just a second. Just want to shout out Unicorn. Yeah, I've been playing WNBA. I know Moose and a few of the guys are definitely plugging away at WNBA as well. And Jose, what's your biggest take tonight, Jayhawk? So we got two good questions here to start with. First, let's go to Eli because it's just a number. Very easy question to answer. Halliburton Siakam's ownership at captain on DK. So we're looking at only 12% for Halliburton. And then Siakam floating around 9, which is interesting because the highest owned captain tonight, no surprise, is going to be SGA. And then if you're playing over on FanDuel, keep in mind that they're doing this thing now where you pay double for your MVP to get, or not double, you pay 1.5 their salary to get 1.5 the points. Creates a little bit of nuance, a little bit of strategy, a few less dupes. So I'm a fan of the new format, but definitely something to talk about a little bit. But let's go into Jose's question, Jayhawk. What's your biggest take tonight? You got a hot take, or I don't know. Handle this however you like. It's a pretty broad question, but only one game. I think there's a lot of different ways you could go.
yeah, for sure. So I'll give two takes here. First of all, for DFS purposes, I'm not fully locking SGA at the captain, but I have like 80% on my current 20 max on DraftKings. So that's kind of my hot take on the DFS side. And I think OKC here, contrary to what happened last game, I think they have a pretty nice showing here tonight.
Yep, I'm with you. I mean, my hot take kind of comes off of Paul's question here. Is this a Chet bounce back game? I think it could be. I think it should be. The biggest thing that stood out to me about game one, and for those who are in Discord, I know I'm probably going to sound like a broken record. I keep bringing this up. But if we're looking at the plus minus from the first game, even though OKC lost by 1 point, the only guy that had a significant plus minus rating was Cason Wallace, who slid into the starting lineup there for Chet. Minus 13 for him. No one else was worse than a -4. To me, that's kind of the difference in the game if you want to kind of put it in those layman's terms. Obviously, there's a lot of other factors that came into play here. I mean, the Pacers turned the ball over 24 times, which normally is not a good thing. They did overcome that, and a big part of that was the rebounding. 56 rebounds to OKC's 39. You have to think a little bit of that is because Chet didn't start along. So actually, no, Chet started. Hartenstein came off the bench, but Hartenstein came in pretty quickly. So usually these guys are on the floor a lot together. I could pull a popcorn machine now. But yeah, getting Case and Wallace into the starting lineup, Hartenstein come in after Chet. I think if they want to get the better rebounding numbers. You put them together, obviously thinking with the fast pace of Indiana, they thought they'd go a little bit smaller. I will say Wallace has been a tremendous on-ball defender all series, but to shake something up like that going into game one to me was a little bit strange. And I was someone super bullish on OKC coming into the series. Anyone who asked, I think I said OKC in 5. Not sure I still feel that way. I still think they're probably the favorite, rightfully. I think they probably get it done in 6. But Halliburton, man, it's just doesn't matter what happens the first 45 minutes of the game, last 3 minutes. We've seen it in every series of these playoffs. He's just going to take over, and the game's his from there on in. So, yeah, I think they do want to pull ahead tonight, nice and early, keep that lead, win on the glass. I think that's going to be a key factor here. 228.5-point total, 11.5-point spread. Yeah, man, I know you were kind of just as surprised as me about game one. I mean, it looked kind of like we expected it to for a while. But yeah, the shakeup in the starting lineup. Do you have a take on that? Do you think they go big again tonight, or are they going to run Wallace out there again? Obviously, Chet and Isaiah will get their minutes regardless, but I was a little bit surprised that Casey got as much run as he did, as well as he's been playing. I think they're just a little bit outsized without those guys on the floor together as much as they have been in previous series.
Yeah, I think they probably go back to Case in here. I know he didn't have the best plus minus score, but I still think he's a pretty good defender. So I do expect Kaysen to remain here, but we'll have to touch on that.
Yeah, the rebounding was kind of strange. Naismith had 12 boards. He was a really big factor off the glass, so that feels like a little bit of an outlier too. So even if they don't go big, maybe the board numbers kind of level out a little bit, but definitely something to keep an eye on. If you're turning the ball over and losing the rebounding battle, you're not going to be able to win the game. But they really made up those turnovers on the glass in a big way, so definitely something to think about going in here. 46% from 3 for Indiana, only 36% from 3 for OKC. Not always a team that takes a ton of 3-point shots, though. But yeah, I mean, I think we're on the same page, right? We kind of think OKC is going to bounce back here. I mean, we see this constantly. If a team gets outplayed in one game, these are 7-game series. The team that wants it more usually is able to kind of take over and get it in game 2. But yeah, nothing has really gone as we've expected it to these playoffs. So kind of tough to say. But yeah, feel free to just chime in with any other hot takes, man. We'll start to talk through some of these ownerships, maybe some of the strategy in terms of building for DFS.
Yeah, so just kind of going through the chat here. Someone mentioned best bench plays. So my highest exposed today, we can get to these guys as we go through, but I think Alex Caruso, one of my favorite plays as well in tournaments, just another thing to chime in there.
Yep. And guys, love the questions coming in again with only one game. It's kind of hard to fit in 30, 40 minutes of content. We're probably going to go until about 7:30 Eastern, maybe 7:40 if we have enough questions. But it's questions like this that are going to be able to fill some of that time. So how many minutes do we think Mathurin and Wiggins get here tonight? So taking a look, we have Mathurin just at 16. I do think if he gets hot, that's a number that could go up. We only have Wiggins for 10. If this game were to blow out, he's someone who could play the entirety of the fourth quarter. But I think these projections are about where they should be. Any hot takes on minutes for either of those guys there, Jayhawk? And feel free to chime in with any other bench guys. I know you mentioned Caruso. I like him here as well. He's been playing more minutes in the playoffs than he had in the regular season because he is such a great defender. Opposite Wallace, I think he was positive in the plus minus. If not, he was close. And I know on FanDuel, I was doing a little bit of building earlier. He was someone who fits into lineups really easily if you're trying to jam in like an SGA at captain. But yeah, any hot bench takes? I mean, I think Mathurin would have to get hot to see more minutes. Wiggins has been kind of in and out of the rotation, but 9 minutes last game in a competitive game. It's tough to really project him above that number, I think.
Yeah, so my take with Mathurin here is I think if they go down early, I think he's likely to see more minutes here. When they need scoring, he's kind of their guy, in my opinion. Obviously, Hallie can be very off and on at times, so I don't hate taking stabs at Mathurin, but particularly in builds, I think that are pretty OKC heavy, you could get more Mathurin around here.
Yep, and I'll kind of follow that up with this. Toppin was the guy off the bench in game 1 for Indiana. 5 for 8 from 3, 17 points, played 25 minutes, which is a little bit of an outlier for him. I think if you're getting Mathurin into lineups and you're wanting a big Mathurin game, it's probably Toppin who's going to lose some of those minutes. So maybe don't have both. but I don't know. Again, I'm trying to look for rules to set. I'm trying to look for ways to be different. But I think if you're getting a great Mathurin game, it's probably because Toppin isn't producing the way he did game one off the bench. But any thoughts there, Jayhawk? I mean, 25 minutes for Toppin, probably a reason we only saw 16 for Mathurin, even though the game was competitive. But again, we're speculating, also trying to read the mind of Rick Carlisle, a bit of a mad genius. I mean, if he brings this team to the finals and wins after carrying that Mavericks team with Dirk that went through LeBron and everybody else a few years back, I mean, one of the better coaches of all time, which is insane to say out loud. But yeah, man, what's your take, I guess, on the minutes between Obi and Mathurin? Do you think there's any, I don't know, correlation there or negative correlation, for lack of a better word?
Oh, I think you nailed it there. I think Toppin could easily lose minutes here. He shot so good, like you mentioned. I mean, even if Mathurin shoots like the way he did, I think he could easily eat into those minutes. So love that shot there with Mathurin and the Toppin
Yeah,
conversation.
and if you look on Popcorn Machine, I mean, they did share the floor a little bit, but I don't think the initial plan was to have Toppin almost close the first half. He was playing really well. McConnell was playing all right, but Mathurin, I think he came in, turned the ball over, and they took him right off the floor. So he almost missed a full stint there. I think he could get to 20 minutes tonight. So in lineups without Toppin, maybe get to some Mathurin. I think obviously if you're playing Pacers heavily, you want a competitive game. I think more of my builds tonight, and maybe this is going to be kind of a chalky build, is to go super heavy with the OKC studs. Use some of their value guys I know that are going to get minutes as well, like a Caruso and Dort, and just, I don't know, have only one or two Pacers in lineups because, again, maybe I'm dumb to be going back to the well in the exact same way. But that first game just felt weird, man. To have that many turnovers and still win the basketball game, I can't fully wrap my head around it. But yeah, I think I'm going OKC heavy on builds tonight. But that's not exactly a hot take by any stretch.
Yeah, I feel you on that as well. I do also prefer, I have more Siakam to Hallie. So fully expect Hallie to have a good game now.
Yeah, I mean, the thought was that Dort and everyone else, Caruso, would really key in on Hallie, and they did for a while. I mean, took him a while to get going, but he starts to break free and just does what he wants after a while. Eli here, good follow up question. Best bench player for each team. So if we're to assume the starting lineups are going to be the same and Case and Wallace is starting, I think Hartenstein coming off the bench is tough to argue against as one of the better bench players. I will say point per dollar on FanDuel, Caruso stands out to me, but it's between those two. There is a world, though, where Hartenstein gets a start and Kaysen comes off the bench, in which case I'd still probably rate Caruso ahead of Kaysen Wallace, but 1B would probably become Kaysen Wallace. And then I'll just continue, and then I'll throw it over to you, Jayhawk. On the Pacers side of things, I mean, McConnell's look great, but I think if you're looking for upside, it's either him, Toppin, or Mathurin. Again, I don't think I'd want both Toppin or Mathurin, but those are really the only three bench guys I have any interest in. I think TJ is probably the safest, but I think you could see a big game out of either Benedict or Toppin. Don't want to cop out and give you three names, so I'll go with TJ McConnell as my favorite guy off the bench. But who are your favorite bench players for each of these teams this evening?
Yeah, so starting with the Pacers here, I love that order you put them in. I think TJ probably the safest out of those three, then Toffin, then Mathurin, but I'm gonna bump Mathurin to two for tonight. I do like him a bunch, so I'll go that same order, but swap Mathurin and Toppin. And then on the OKC side, it's pretty clearly Caruso for me, number one off the bench. And then I do want to shout out Isaiah Joe. I don't know if we really need him for value, but Model thinks he's a really good value, especially in this game environment. If we think OKC gets a huge lead, we could potentially see Joe get a little bit extra run in the fourth quarter, but that's a big if. So, did you have any thoughts on Isaiah Joe here?
I mean, I was kind of overlooking him, if I'm being honest. But in the same breath, like if we do think this game has blowout potential, he's probably going to be the quarterback of that offense for as much of the fourth quarter as the starters are getting rested. So I don't mind him. And yeah, he looks good in terms of value because he is so damn cheap on TK. Just 1,200 to play him in the flex. I don't mind it. I think it's okay. Like I feel a little bit better about him than I do guys like Thomas Bryant and Shepard, who are priced similarly. I will say Wiggins, a guy who's already probably going to get around 10 minutes. another guy like Joe who could be heavily involved in the fourth quarter if you want to build for the blowout. But even if you're building for a competitive game, I think guys like Dort, Caruso, one of Toppin or Mathurin are guys you can rely on a little bit more. Obviously, they are a bit more expensive, though. Checking out the chat, then we'll talk through some ownerships. Few conversations going on in the chat. Love that, guys. Feel free to continue there, even if I don't shout out every single comment. Yeah, interested to see how OKC responds after game one. I mean, on paper, I think they're the better team. Big thing to me, there's an advanced stat. It's like defensive plus minus. No team that Indiana's faced in the first 3 rounds of the playoffs has a player in the top 10. They have 3 guys on OKC that are in the top 10 in that category. I thought they'd do a bit better job slowing this team down. Toppin and Caruso are kind of on the same page as Guru here. Few other conversations going on. Appreciate you guys. How low on the totem pole can you go for captain? So I'm trying to think. Do you know off the top of your head what ended up optimal in that first game? I think we saw a lot of Siakam captain builds, Hallie, and SGA. So like kind of the pay-ups we're actually getting there for the most part. Obviously, to fit in more studs, you can kind of build with a lower value captain. It's just like which of these not lower value, lower price captain, but like which of these mid-range guys do you really want to trust? I will say if OKC goes small again, I don't mind going to maybe Miles Turner as like a mid-range captain. He actually put up decent numbers, 15 and 9, 3 blocks for him, not terrible, but he took a really long time to get going. He wasn't doing much at all in the first quarter. If he is a bit better of a game here, he's someone at his price I don't mind building around, albeit probably need a competitive game for that to totally work out. Dort's been lights out from 3. Like, I don't know that I get there only playing a handful of lineups with him as captain. His floor is lower than anyone else I'd be considering. But yeah, we've seen him get hot, man. He had like 3 threes in a 1 minute span at one point. 5 for 9 from 3, 15 points, and the stocks are always there. So especially on FanDuel, where you get the extra points for blocks and steals, 4 steals and 2 blocks for him game one. Obviously not something you could expect night to night, but I mean, he's continued to put up really solid numbers. His price doesn't seem to move. I'll go with those 2. I'll go with Turner and Dort as kind of mid-range guys. I wouldn't want to go too much lower. I will say Caruso's fine. If you really want to take a shot on someone like Toppin or Mathurin, I'd prefer Toppin of the 2 just to jam in all the studs. But I have found it's pretty easy to build, even going with someone like SGA captain, because we do have the Dorts, the Carusos, the Toppins of the world. Jayhawk, are you going lower than the expensive guys at captain? And if you are, which of these guys are standing out to you?
Yeah, so on DraftKings at least, I think SGA is just so easy to fit. The majority of my build should have him. But if we're talking about the mid tier, someone mentioned it in the chat earlier on in the stream. I think, Chet Holmgren makes for a really good captain play on DraftKings or FanDuel. Obviously, coming off a rougher game, he could easily have a bounce back game here. And then the other guy I'm getting a little bit of in tournaments is Caruso. Like you mentioned, 5,800. If he gets a bunch of stalks, couple threes, he could easily maybe get up close to captain territory. So love Caruso in tournaments. But yeah, mainly SGA. And then on the Indiana side, I like that Turner shout if he does get warm from the 3-point line. But yeah, for the most part, mainly SGA for me, and then some Chet in the mid tier.
Yeah, Turner had a lot of trouble against the Knicks. I think he only had 1 or 2 really good fantasy performances. But yeah, I mean, they need his length out there, especially if they're going to have Hartenstein and Chet. Obviously, not a good matchup for him. But to your point, he can take the ball beyond the arc and shoot a few threes if they are falling, and we get him over 30 minutes. I think at low ownership, he's someone with a high ceiling. At the same time, proceed with caution. Obviously, very low floor. We saw it against the Knicks, but I do think this matchup for him can play a little bit better than that one did, even though OKC probably has the better front court defense overall. A couple other guys I think we need to at least bring up, maybe Nembhard, Naismith. I mean, we saw Naismith catch fire a few times in these playoffs. Nembhard, when teams want to key in on Tyrese Halliburton, does seem that he can break away. We saw that in that last game against the Knicks, where he had 44 fantasy points. It's in his bag. Is it something we're going to expect? Probably not, but I do think if the Pacers are competitive here, and even if they pull this game off, it's probably going to have to be someone other than Halliburton tonight. I think OKC is probably going to make sure they really key in on slowing Hallie down. And at the same time, I mean, every team's been trying to do that these entire playoffs. But yeah, if you want to kind of build for a competitive game, get a little bit different. I don't think Nemhard's crazy. Obviously, Siakam's been playing really well too, but Siakam drawing a lot of ownership. I mean, he has been about as consistent as anyone. If we're sorting by OF index, he's all the way down at fifth, which is a little bit surprising to me personally. I'm kind of surprised he's not scoring as well as Chet. I mean, in terms of fantasy production, he's been much more consistent. But yeah, to me, Siakam may be someone I'd be considering. And the more I look at it, like he's not too popular at captain at only 9%, but that's only a 10% gap from SGA. That's why I think if you can get SGA in there, you just do it. And we'll take a few more questions, guys. Then we'll do some dummy builds on each site. Maybe one with SGA captain, one with someone a little bit cheaper. But you'll see like kind of the chalky builds, and then you got to try to get different from there. Toppin started the first quarter with like 3 turnovers and still stayed on the floor. Shouts out Boyle. Appreciate you, Boyle, our fearless leader here on the NBA squad. Yeah, so the comment on Toppin is interesting. Yeah, he kind of came out, struggled a little bit. They left him in, checked him back in at the end of the quarter, left him in, and then he did end up closing. I mean, they wanted him out there. Or Carlisle did for sure. It's like they didn't necessarily. I'm trying to like put myself into Rick Carlisle's head. It's not exactly an easy exercise. But yeah, to the point, I think the guys who lost minutes were definitely Matherin because Toppin was playing well. He was hitting the boards, but it was actually Naismith who was collecting more of those boards. Those are two guys who were a big factor in keeping that game close before Halliburton kind of did what he did late. But again, man, I think we've talked about him a little bit, but what's your take on Obi Toppin? I mean, coming off just a tremendous game in terms of value, I don't know that I want to go right back there, but at the same time, I don't know that the field is all that aggressive in getting to him either. I mean, we only have him for 22 minutes, 19% at the flex. That's not bad. I think he's someone probably worth getting to pretty aggressively. But what's your take again on top? And I mean, the rotations for Carlisle are always difficult, but I do think he's someone who's going to affect some of these bench guys directly.
Yeah, still think he's a fantastic play here, especially in non Matherin or McConnell lineups. I think he looks awesome. So definitely still getting to a bunch of him. But like we said earlier, I'm just trying to max one of Toppin and Matherin in one build, just one of those two.
Yeah. Lord King Guru saw Dort captain tournament takedown. Yeah, he was hot from three. If he's going to hit 5 threes again, he's going to be a good captain. Jose, minutes projection for Thomas Bryant. This one's interesting. And again, OKC played smaller, so they didn't even need Bryant much. We have him for 9 minutes. I think I'd rather be playing Wiggins, even Joe, kind of hoping for the OKC blowout. Unicorn here. I didn't get to tune into the full show for game one, but I'm pretty sure Chuck was off Halliburton. That was kind of his hot take. And at his price, I don't mind it at all. Like if we're sorting by salary, even over on FanDuel, he is the second most expensive player. And then that goes into one of these questions from Amari. Are you guys doing balanced or going OKC or Pacers heavy? I personally am going OKC heavy. So a way to do that is to leave someone like Halliburton out. Going to have SGA captain in most, Jam and Jalen. From there, it gets a little bit tricky. Maybe I get to Siakam as like my pay up at Indy. But how are you building for the most part tonight, Jayhawk? It sounds like you're kind of with me going OKC heavy.
Yeah, pretty OKC heavy and just kind of mixing around mid-tier captains. And then I have like one Pacers captain or one Pacers heavy, but just as like leverage.
Yeah. If you're playing a bunch of lineups, and I do this in MLB, like if I have a pitcher that I have in 10 of my or 9 of my 10 lineups on DK, I'll just build a stack against them as kind of a hedge. Again, depending on your risk tolerance, you kind of get away with that in NBA as well. If you're going super OKC heavy, have a lineup or two of Pacers if you are building a bunch, just in case things do go left. Things could go crazy, obviously. Hartenstein should see more minutes. Are we going heavy to them after a disappointing game one? First part of this question is, what's the starting lineup going to look like? I'm thinking we're going to see Wallace and Chet starting. If they go to Hartenstein over Wallace, I think Hartenstein becomes my favorite of that group. Hartenstein was out playing Chet for the most part in game one. I don't know that I want both in a lineup unless they're starting. I know that sounds kind of crazy. But again, just really forcing ways to get different. To me, I like Hartenstein more than Chet personally, even coming off the bench because of the discount we're getting. But I think they're both good plays. I just don't know that I want them in the same lineup. There's a world where it works out. I think it has a few times through these playoffs for OKC. But feel free to just kind of wrap on that one, Jayhawk. How are you handling this front court, assuming Wallace and Holmgren start? Maybe a hot take for me to go a little bit heavier on Isaiah.
Yeah, I really, really do like the Isaiah call there. Should get a bunch of usage off the bench here, especially with Kaysen starting here. So yeah, really like Hardenstein off the bench here.
Yeah, and again, I mean, Chet has the higher ceiling of the two, I think for sure. But again, we're getting a discount. I got to look at the DK price, but 2K cheaper for Isaiah. They've been producing close enough, and over on FanDuel, massive, massive gap. Uh, yeah, if we're just looking at utility, let's not go by that. But yeah, 4K difference. So again, I think you probably do want one or the other in most lineups. Not rushing to captain one or the other. I do think Chet probably the better captain, knowing he has actual upside. Like he could be the guy that outscores the rest of the players on the slate. Really rare we see that from Isaiah, but I think point per dollar to me, Isaiah is the more appealing play of the two. And again, if only one is starting, probably going to be Chet. I think I still like Isaiah just coming off the bench for a little bit cheaper as a way to maybe fit in an extra Siakam or a Jalen Williams or something like that, or not have to go all the way down to Isaiah Joe. Maybe we could get to Caruso, but I'm definitely going to continue to touch on the chat here, guys. One more question from Courtney, then we'll do some dummy bills. Playing a low-owned cheap captain different enough for SE? Yes. Just make sure you really like your lineup, and that guy is going to have a pretty good game. I mean, there are games where people are just jamming in SGA a captain with all studs and then playing someone who's not even going to play. Like if we go all the way down here, cheapest player on the slate, and I hate to even present this strategy, it's just that it has worked at times. Like a James Johnson isn't even going to see the floor. AJ Mitchell, though, maybe in a blowout, he gets a few minutes. And then he comes in and his 2 points are the difference between first and second place. Like we have seen that in finals games at times. I do think it's safer. Like if you're trying to come in first, I think you can maybe go with a little bit of mid-range captain. If you have a low risk tolerance though, and you're trying to min cash to do something like that, like you're threading a very kind of narrow needle, for lack of a better analogy. It's a good question, and it's not like there's a 100% right answer. Like guys could get hurt too. I mean, knock on wood, who's to say like one of the studs on tonight's slate doesn't get hurt at high ownership? Obviously, just not having them in your lineup is going to be a huge, huge edge. But assuming everyone's healthy, assuming this game kind of plays out where Vegas has it, I think SGA is kind of the no-brainer at captain. But yeah, Jayhawk, any low-owned cheap captains that you're kind of circling here? I do think Dort and Caruso are probably the two most interesting to me. But again, I think I want to be fully transparent. I'm just jamming SGA captain in most of my builds.
Yep, pretty much feel the same way here. Definitely could go to Caruso or Dort, especially in this type of build we're liking tonight. If they hit a couple of threes, probably my favorite mid-tier captain. So, yeah, pretty much on the same page with you.
Love it. And shouts out to Chuck here, who helped us with game one. Let's have a good one, boys. And yeah, so let's go ahead and do a build here. First, we'll go on DraftKings. We'll go with SGA captain, and we'll go kind of as obvious as we can. And we can kind of see if there's ways to get different just to kind of pivot off of that. But, right, man, I think we go with SGA first. In terms of ownership, sorting by flex, I mean, it's Jalen, Halliburton, Holmgren. What are you thinking? Should we try to get Jalen in if we're going to OKC heavy?
Yeah, I
I
think so.
mean, do you want to see what fits with Hallie just for the sake of it, or are we trying to get away from him if we're going OKC heavy?
Let's do one build with Hallie, one build without him, and see what we can do.
Okay, so yeah, I think a lot of people start here, right? They're going to go SGA, Jalen, Halliburton. What else can I fit? And it already gets pretty dicey. Like we said earlier, if you're not playing Toppin, I think Matherin's a really good play. If you're doing something like this, you almost need both. So I think my favorite build is going to be SGA, Jalen, Siakam, which we'll try in a second. But say we're going to TJ, say we're going to Matherin, in which case we're maybe going to skip Toppin. We really can't. Like you're punting somewhere if you're going with all three of these guys. So you're either going to have to go Jalen at captain, in which case maybe you can get up to a Topton or a Wallace at this last position, but I'm not loving this build now. We're trying to go OKC heavy, and we're forced to play guys like, I don't know, TJ I like, but Matherin as well. I mean, if we go with the Isaiah Joe punt, which you brought up really early, I mean, something like this actually doesn't look terrible. Kind of playing for the OKC blowout. We have both point guards from Indy, so if they let Halliburton try to come back in the fourth, good, we got him. If not, McConnell's in there. This isn't a bad build, and it kind of does play to the OKC blowout a little bit. What are your thoughts on this one, JR?
Yeah, I don't hate it here. Obviously you get that low on value with Joe as well, so definitely a solid build.
Yeah, and I do want to just mention no salary remaining. If you're in a big contest, you're probably going to be duping, even getting to some of these weird plays, having SGA captain. Don here asking, how do we feel about a 5-1? I'm going to use this opportunity to kind of build that 5-1. So I think if you really want to play for the blowout, you're probably skipping Hallie. I want Dort. Uh, I don't know. Wiggins or Joe. Who do you prefer?
I'm gonna go Joe here. I think the 3 point on DraftKings. I like that.
Nice. Yeah, and then we got Wallace. Again, this is a 5-1. Do I love it? It's pretty good. I think Wallace is tough to put up fantasy points consistently. We know the minutes are going to be there for him, though. He's definitely in there to play defense more than anything. I mean, we've been saying that about Dort all season. He's been jacking up threes, so maybe he kind of follows suit tonight. But this isn't a terrible 5-1. There's other ways you could go 5-1 too. If maybe we were to go like Jalen, a captain, I'm imagining we're going to fit even better bench guys for OKC. But again, I think it's pretty damn easy to fit SGA a captain tonight. So I don't know. Doing anything else feels a little bit crazy. But yeah, here we go. I mean, Wiggins, Caruso, Dort. We got Jalen a captain. If he outperforms SGA, Siakam in there, another 5-1. I don't mind the 5-1 at all. Don here saying SGA captain, Joe Caruso, Dort, Holmgren, Siakam. That's another one. That works for sure. Say we're going a little bit more balanced, though. I mean, in a competitive game, it's probably going to be Hallie or Siakam that are doing most of the heavy lifting for Indy. If you had to go Indy captain, would it be Hallie?
Man, in a close game, I have more Siakam captain, but let's go. Yeah, we can go Hallie. He does.
Yeah, I mean, let's see what it pulls us. I don't think you want to skip SGA. If you want to get really different, that's one way to do it. But getting some discount off him, not having to put him in as the captain already. Naismith's been hot. We haven't used him at all yet. Maybe we go Toppin in this one in a more competitive game. Come off of Matherin. I like TJ Hartenstein. I mean, this isn't terrible as a competitive build. Like, is this going to hit most nights? No. But strange things happen in the NBA. I mean, this playoffs has definitely been kind of really hammering that point home. So don't mind that at all. Let's take a quick look at FanDuel too here. Any other question, guys, feel free to get them in. Otherwise, we're probably going to wrap up in just a minute or two. But definitely looking forward to game two. Again, we're kind of building OKC heavy tonight, thinking they bounce back. They were forcing tons of turnovers in that game one. Struggled on the glass, but they did start Case and Wallace. I think there's a world where maybe we see the two bigs for OKC start alongside each other. Even if they don't, though, I do think they have a better showing on the boards than they did in that first game. But yeah, let's say we started with SGA up top. Dort's price on FanDuel is insane. Just want to say that out loud. 3,800 for him, where Caruso's is 1K more and like Nemhard's 2K more. That just feels wrong. Really, really think this is kind of how I'd be starting most builds over on FanDuel. Where you want to go next, Jay?
Man, Caruso's up there as well, dude. And he's higher than I expected on FanDuel here. Let's go with can we get Spicy P in there? Pascal Siakam. Let's get him
I
in there.
like it. Yeah, and again, even in a lot of these 5-1 builds, I like Siakam. I mean, he's been putting up numbers pretty consistently, regardless of how these games are playing out. I really think the key for OKC tonight has to be to kind of slow down Halliburton, which should open things up for him, maybe a little bit. Chet probably going to get the start. I said I don't mind going to Isaiah as a way to get a little different. We got 7K just about left per player. I don't know. Should we see what it looks like with Jalen jammed in there?
Yeah, it's probably gonna be rough, but we can try to fit it in there.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go cheap at least once. I mean, the Naismith price seems wrong to me too. Albeit now we have two Pacers, but that leaves us with Case and Wallace. I mean, this isn't terrible. Um, I don't know if you come off Williams and you want to go with Chat. Personally, I definitely prefer Williams even for the price, but this definitely gets us a prettier build for some of these value guys here. What are we looking at? FanDuel's got a mind of its own right now. Okay, so this isn't really doing what I hoped it would, but if we pull Naismith for, say, Caruso, who I do think is a little bit overpriced over here, eh. I mean, the thing is, you're leaving a lot of salaries, so you're going to be different, but I don't know. I'm with you in thinking that, like, I'm playing a lot of Caruso on DK. Don't know that I want to do the same over on FanDuel where he's priced more expensively. Maybe Wallace, after that terrible game, has the big bounce back here. And we're getting to like a Miles Turner or something like this. I don't know. It's easy to build, and they made it easy to build, even with these guys up atop a captain. So just keep that in mind. Like you're going to have to leave some salary on the table to get different. I think the 5-1s will be kind of different tonight. At the same time, I do think a lot of guys are probably going to try to follow that build, just knowing these games, these series tend to go back and forth. A lot of energy in that arena game one, but obviously Indy sucked the air out of it. I think this is a great bounce back spot. What do we think about SGA Captain Caruso? SEA captain Caruso, Williams, Chet, Toppin, and TJ. I have no issues with that. Like I said, I really do like Toppin. TJ probably my favorite pacer off the bench. I don't mind Matherin tonight though, but if you're playing Matherin, probably don't do it in Toppin lineups. Shouts out the douche. Turned a bunch of tickets using the satellite strategy into cash. Always love to see that. Douche definitely one of the better guys at making that strategy work for him. Obi Toppin captain with Blowout in mind. Like, is he even getting blowout run necessarily? I don't know, because he's been more involved in the games where they're actually competitive. If you're playing for a blowout on the Indy side, maybe. If you're playing for a blowout on the OKC side, I'd rather be getting to guys like Wiggins and Joe. How about you, Jayhawk?
Yeah, I almost feel like I'd rather get to Matherin probably in that scenario as well at captain. Just because I think Toppin's way more integral to their team in a close game than Matherin, unless
Yeah,
you.
and TJ too is another one. I mean, they're going to probably leave him on the floor in the fourth if the game were to get out of hand. But the way that they've been coming back, like, can you really bench your starters if you're down by 30 going into the fourth? I don't even know if they can. Anyone here in the yeah, Anthony just asking for the 200K if anyone wins it. Amari going 4-2 today. I mean, that's fair, man. That's totally balanced. I don't know. Let me try to sharpen this build a little bit better, just because I don't love where I'm landing. Like I do think this is kind of my core. SGA, Dort, Siakam. Like I said, taking a shot on Hartenstein allows us to maybe jam in Jalen and then Kaysen. Yeah, so this might be my preferred 5-1.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, not bad at all. And yeah, the Deuce with a great point here. Hallie only had 35 fantasy points last game. So we didn't really even talk about Halliburton much, but I think we're both kind of bearish on him, right? Like, I'm not getting to him much. I think Siakam, if I'm paying up for anyone from Indy, he's kind of the guy for me. I also mentioned Turner played terribly early in that last game, still actually put up decent numbers in spite of that fact. I know he had some terrible fantasy games against the Knicks. This is a little bit different of a series, though, for him. So yeah, I'm very comfortable coming under the field on Halliburton, especially in lineups where I'm going OKC heavy. Any other just last takes, hot takes, Jayhawk? I'm very low on Hallie tonight in terms of fantasy production. I do want to say that.
Yeah, I just we've kind of ingrained this, but I just feel like it's kind of a better spot in terms of matchup, at least for Siakam, anyways. So we'll see. I think Hallie's still fine, but in terms of like, especially on FanDuel, it's much easier to get off him.
Yep, totally agree. And again, we're talking about Siakam as a guy, but you could go um, maybe some Nemhard. I actually think he could get a few more open looks. Naismith's another one. And the Douche, 100% agree. We've kind of been hammering this point home. If you're going 5-1, OKC, it's not a game where Halliburton's really doing Halliburton. It means OKC's kind of dominating, in which case you're better off maybe going to like a TJ McConnell or a Nemhard, one of these secondary guards. But yeah, I think that's just about it. Definitely appreciate you guys. I think we got close to 200 live viewers at one point, down to around 100 now, but appreciate every single one of you. Game 2 of the finals tonight. Again, we're all kind of thinking OKC bounces back in a big way. Definitely building heavy there. Courtney here, going a little different, going 5-1 Indiana. Hey, man, you're different. And that's one of the toughest parts of winning a big tournament on these one-game slates. Antoine saying fade Obi. Yeah, after a huge game, I mean, there is some merit to it. I will say he's not very popular, so the field's not getting there. But if you're trying to get different, maybe go to Matherin. I think he lost more minutes to Obi than anyone else. Jayhawk, any last thoughts, words, etc.? Definitely appreciate you guys. Again, check the links in the description below. Get access to the model you see here, all the good content behind the paywall for all the different sports as we get into the dog days of summer here. But good luck, everyone.
Good luck, everyone. Don't don't play 50% Matherin like I am. Don't recommend it. But let's go Matherin.
Yeah, hey, let's go Matherin if you're Jayhawk playing 50%. But oh wait, one last thing: starting lineups are out. And they are the same as they were last time. So yeah, going right back to Case and Wallace. I wouldn't be surprised if they subbed them out a little earlier, but they're going to go small again and say, "Hey, we got the turnovers. Let's just hit the boards a little harder." So interesting. I wouldn't be shocked if they had switched that back, but yeah, no changes otherwise. Indy running out exactly what they thought. And I'm with the douche. I'm playing more Hardenstein than Chat tonight. So hopefully that works out for both of us. But thanks again, everyone. Nick Marro here with DFS Jayhawk and Occupy Fantasy. As always, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we will see you on the other side. Good luck, everyone.